It started with a hoodie, chrome hearts, soft gray, silver dagger stitched between the shoulders, worn over an off-white tee, clean white with a red slash on the chest. Ellison wore Fear of God joggers, light taupe. On his feet, Travis Scott Jordan 1s, reverse mocha. A Rolex peeked out when he adjusted his sleeve. Oyster Perpetual, turquoise dial. He didn't dress to flex. He dressed like he belonged. Because he did. 14. Heading home from the Galleria. Phone in one hand. Telfar mini bag slung across his chest. He moved like someone raised to be respected, and still waiting for the world to agree. The patrol car rolled up slow. Window down. 2 officers inside. White. Mid-30s. They didn't see his face. They saw the Rolex, the hoodie, the neighborhood, the wrong kid, in the right clothes, in the wrong zip code. Stop right there. Ellison turned. Hands where I can see them. Guns were out before he could ask why. His phone slipped to the concrete. Do not move. He didn't. Because that's what his father taught him. Stillness might save you, even if it won't protect your dignity. And then a voice came, slow, firm, too calm to ignore. Officer, is there a reason my son has a gun in his face? They turned, saw the man, and froze. Ellison didn't speak. Because when the world has already decided who you are, explaining only confirms their disbelief. Like if someone once looked at you and didn't see the truth. Comment if a piece of clothing ever made you a threat. Share this with someone who's been read wrong, but never forgot it. Ellison gets up at 6:25 a.m. every morning. He doesn't need an alarm. The house knows how to wake him. Sunlight filters through motorized blinds that rise just enough to touch his face. The hallway hums with soft jazz his mother cues from the kitchen. The scent of his father's coffee, strong, dark roast, no sugar, wraps around the edge of his room like a gentle signal. Another day. Let's go. His room looks like it belongs to a teenager from the future. Framed prints of Basquiat and Kendrick Lamar. A PS5 sits under a mounted OLED TV. Controllers stacked like precision tools. His sneaker shelf is low-lit. Rows of Jordans, Yeezys, and the occasional Raf Simons pair his uncle said were too grown for him. But Ellison doesn't treat any of it like treasure. It's all just there. Like it's supposed to be. His mother, Nadine, is a tech executive. Built her way from software testing to running her own SaaS firm by 35. His father, Rashad, is a known name in Houston. Oil, real estate, philanthropy. He made Forbes once. Didn't post about it. Instead, he framed a handwritten letter from his grandmother that read, "Don't get caught in applause. It fades faster than memory." They live in a gated community in Piney Point. Neighbors mostly leave them alone. Polite waves. Forced smiles. HOA meetings that feel like mild interrogations. Ellison used to wonder why his dad never smiled much at the neighbors. Until he was 10, and a woman asked if he was the help's son. At home, things are soft. Intentional. No yelling. No chaos. Just a rhythm built on care. Ellison sets the table every night. His father checks every door twice. His mother writes one line of affirmation on the whiteboard fridge calendar every Sunday. This week it reads, "You don't owe them comfort. You owe yourself truth." Despite the peace, Ellison has always known there are 2 worlds. There's the one inside the gate, where he's sir before he speaks, and everyone wants to know where his dad invests. And then there's the one outside, where the moment he steps out in off-white and Jordans, people squint, like something doesn't add up. He learned early. It's not the hoodie. It's who they think should wear it. So he moves carefully. Doesn't raise his voice in public. Keeps receipts. Smiles when he doesn't feel like it. Not because he wants to. Because his father told him. Son, survival sometimes looks like surrender, but it isn't. At school, he's quiet. Top of his class. Best in math. Never the loudest. Always the most observant. The teachers like him. The security guards follow him. He doesn't say anything about it. Just memorizes the exits. He has friends, real ones. 2 from robotics. 1 from church. They come over, play games, eat way too many of his mom's lemon squares. But when they walk to the store together, Ellison always walks on the side closest to the street. Not because he's polite, because he's the one most likely to be stopped. He doesn't resent it. Not exactly. But sometimes he sits in his room, phone in hand, scrolling headlines, and thinks, do they see me? Or do they see what they're afraid I might become? The Rolex was a gift. His 14th birthday. His dad had held it in his palm like something sacred. This isn't about showing off, he said. This is about reminding them we've always had taste, even when they said we didn't. Ellison doesn't wear it every day, but when he does, he wears it with calm. Not to flash, to walk in his own skin. The day it happened, the guns, the shouting. He had just come from a galleria, bought socks, looked at new colorways dropping next month, sat in a sneaker boutique where they knew his name. A regular day. Until it wasn't. He was only 3 blocks from home when the patrol car slowed. He felt it before he saw it. That tightening in his ribs. That moment when your body realizes it's being framed for a story it didn't write. He didn't run, didn't speak. He just stood there and watched the hands go for guns. Like muscle memory. Like they'd practiced it on someone who looked like him, just not dressed like him. He would replay the moment later in his head. The way one officer's jaw clenched. The way the other's voice cracked on down. The fact that no one asked for his name. Just hands. Just stillness. Just suspicion worn like a badge. But what he remembers most was how quiet his father's voice was when he arrived. Not angry. Not shocked. Just tired. The kind of tired that only comes from knowing this moment was always coming, no matter how many gates you live behind. Ellison didn't cry. Didn't scream. He just looked the officer in the eye. And waited. Because he knew. They didn't draw because he did anything. They drew because they couldn't imagine he didn't. The next morning, he woke up the same way. 6:25 a.m. Jazz. Sunlight. Coffee smell. But something in the air was different. His mom didn't write a quote on the fridge that week. She just drew a small square. Inside it, breathe. Then choose. Ellison stood in front of the mirror before school. Put on the same hoodie. Same watch. Looked at himself. And said quietly, I'm not the one who got it wrong. Then zipped it halfway up. And walked out the door. Ellison went back to school the next day. He didn't want to. But staying home felt worse. Like hiding. And he hadn't done anything wrong. The ride was quiet. His mother drove. Normally she played music. NPR sometimes. Or Lauryn Hill. Today, nothing. Just the sound of tires rolling, breath held, time crawling. At the stoplight, she looked over. You don't have to talk about it. But if you do, pick who you trust. Ellison nodded. Didn't answer. Because what he felt wasn't a story. It was residue. The school building felt the same. Too cold. Too beige. Locker slams. Marker squeaks. A girl crying softly in the stairwell. Nobody knew yet. It hadn't hit social. No video. No witness. Just him, the officers, his father, and the truth. And the truth had no algorithm. First period was English. Ms. Carlston smiled when he walked in. Hey, you missed your poem yesterday. We saved your slot. He sat down. Pulled out his folder. Didn't say much. The girl next to him, Sasha, leaned in. You good? He nodded. Then added low. Cops pulled guns on me yesterday. Her eyes widened. Wait, what? Thought I stole my own watch. She looked stunned. Like he was kidding. But you, like, your dad's rich, right? He didn't reply. And that was the first cut. Second period algebra. His friend, Jeremy, slapped him on the back. You alive, bro? You were at a gym. Had some stuff. You miss much? Nah. Just Coach Taylor being a drama queen. Oh, and Jason tripped over a cone. Again. Ellison tried to smile. But it didn't land. Because in that moment he realized. The world kept moving. Even when yours stops with a gun barrel in your face. At lunch, he sat with his usual group. Tray full of things he wasn't hungry for. A girl from yearbook slid into the seat across. Blonde. Always wore oversized sleeves. Friendly in a performative way. Hey, we're putting together a Black History Month feature. Would you be down to talk about, like, being black and successful? You know, positive representation and all. Ellison blinked. He wanted to laugh. He wanted to scream. Instead, he just said, "Nah, not today." She pouted. "No worries. Just thought it'd be inspiring." And just like that, she reduced his entire trauma to an extracurricular. The bell rang. He stood, dumped his tray, walked outside even though he wasn't supposed to, found the far bench behind the gym, sat down, finally alone, finally allowed to just be. But then he heard footsteps. Soft, familiar. It was Caleb, his closest friend, since 5th grade. Half Filipino, half white. Lived 3 blocks away. They'd built Lego cities together, crashed bikes, cried when Black Panther came out. Caleb sat next to him, didn't speak, just offered half a granola bar. Ellison shook his head. Then, finally, "They thought I stole my own stuff, bro." "I know. They didn't even ask." "I know." Ellison stared ahead. "If my dad hadn't shown up, I don't even know." Caleb looked at him, quiet for a beat, then said something that split the air. "But like, if you dress that rich, people make assumptions. You know." Ellison turned. Slow. Disbelieving. "What?" "I'm just saying, like, cops don't know you're not showing off. It kinda looks like you're flexing. That's how it comes off." Ellison's jaw clenched. "I wore what I always wear." "Yeah, but Rolex, Travis Scott's, chrome hearts. I mean, so I should dress poor to stay alive." Caleb looked down. "That's not what I meant." "No, that's exactly what you meant." Silence. Wind. The sound of someone bouncing a basketball 2 courts over. Ellison stood up. "You think I deserved it. You won't say it, but you do." Wait. "We built Lego together, bro. I thought you knew me. But you saw what they saw. And the scary part is, you think that's normal." He walked off. Didn't look back. That night, he didn't tell his parents. Just did homework. Brushed his teeth. Went to bed early. But when he lay down, the conversation played again and again. Not the cops. Caleb. Because he could handle strangers with guns. But friends with broken understanding? That cuts deeper. At 2:11 a.m., he sat up, went to his desk, opened his journal, wrote. The scariest part isn't being mistaken for a threat. It's being told by someone you love that it's kinda your fault. He closed the notebook, turned off the light, and stared at the ceiling. There's a jacket hanging by the door. It's black, leather, slightly faded at the seams. Zipper stiff from age. Cuff scratched, but not torn. Ellison never sees his father wear it, but he never sees it move either. It just hangs. Always there. Like a line in a story no one reads aloud. Saturday morning. Quiet. No plans. His mother is gone early, mentoring a startup. The house smells like cedar and lemon, and something nostalgic he can't name. Rashad is at the dining table. Newspaper. Old school mug. Phone face down. Ellison pours cereal. Sits opposite. No music this morning. They eat in silence for a while. Not cold. Just still. Until Ellison says, "Do you remember your first time?" Rashad looks up. "First what?" "First time a cop pulled on you." The question hangs. Like smoke. Rashad doesn't flinch. Doesn't blink. He folds his newspaper slowly. High school. 17. Had a backpack with tools in it. Wrenches, small voltmeter. I like building things. They thought you stole it. They thought I stole the whole car. Ellison waits. Did you yell? No. I smiled. Wider I smiled, the more scared they got. Why? Because I was supposed to beg, not grin. He sips his coffee. They let me go, but never said sorry. Ellison looks down. Same here. Rashad leans back. Your mother wanted to file something. Make a call. You didn't. I've been filing things my whole life. Truth is, the paper always folds before the story ends. Silence again. Ellison watches his father's fingers, large, steady, always warm. He never noticed before that they twitch slightly when he's still. Later that day, Ellison walks past the coat. Stops. Touches it. The leather is smooth and cold. He slides his hand into the inside pocket. Finds a folded photo. A younger Rashad. Denim jacket. Standing beside a beat-up sedan. One hand raised. Not waving. Being searched. Officer in the background. Not smiling. That night, Ellison sits at his desk. Opens a drawer. Pulls out a shoebox of things most kids throw away. The first chess medal he won. A receipt from the day his dad took him to eat oysters and told him, "Don't fake liking it." A sticky note his mom once left. "No matter how you're seen, you are always my evidence." He adds the photo to the box. No words. Just proof. Sunday. They go to his grandmother's house. As usual. Creole music low. Gumbo scent thick in the air. Fox News muted on the TV. His grandmother, Miss Odell, sits on her floral couch, hands folded over a quilt she's been working on since Ellison was 9. She looks up. "Boy, you've been quiet." He shrugs. "Just thinking. That's dangerous at your age." She winks, then says, "Your daddy ever tell you about Baton Rouge?" Ellison freezes. "No, He was 16. Cop tried to kneel him on gravel for walking home in a hoodie." "Did he?" "Almost. Then your great-uncle walked over. Said one line." "What did he say?" "He's mine." "And didn't blink." Ellison's chest tightens. That stopped them. Didn't stop them, but it made them hesitate. Sometimes that's all we get. She threads her needle. Doesn't look up. "Don't let him fool you. Your daddy still walks like he's expecting hands behind his back." On the way home, Ellison looks out the window. Houses pass. Lights blur. He speaks without turning. "Why didn't you ever tell me about all this?" Rashad drives quiet. Then, "Because I wanted to build a house where you didn't have to carry it." "But I did anyway." "Yeah." They don't talk after that. But the silence isn't heavy. It's shared. That night, Ellison dreams he's wearing the leather jacket, walking alone, down a street he doesn't recognize. People stare. He keeps walking. A shadow follows. Not fast, just consistent. He turns a corner. Shadow turns too. He runs. Turns again. And the shadow. It's not a man. It's a badge. Made of smoke. It follows no matter where he hides. Until he stops. Stares straight at it. And it dissolves. He wakes up sweating. He doesn't tell anyone. Just gets dressed. Same hoodie. Same watch. Same calm. But now, when he sees the jacket hanging, he doesn't think forgotten. He thinks inherited. Her name is Denise. She works the front desk at a nail salon across the street. That afternoon, she was folding towels behind the counter. Hot day. Light traffic. NPR playing low. She wasn't looking for trouble. Just glancing out the window between clients. Watching the world turn slow. And that's when she saw them. The patrol car. The boy. The guns. At first, she thought it was a robbery. Then she looked again. He wasn't moving. Wasn't shouting. Wasn't doing anything. Just standing there. Arms raised, eyes wide. He looked so still it scared her. Like he wasn't afraid of dying. Like he'd already prepared for it. She stepped outside. Didn't yell. Didn't film. Just stood behind a tree. Watching. Listening. Breath caught. Hands. "Let me see your hands." "Do not move." "Get on the ground." And the boy, what did he do? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. She remembers how he didn't cry. Didn't flinch. How his face didn't look like a boy's face should look. Not 14. Not innocent. But resigned. Like someone who had lived this before. Even if it was his first time. And then she heard it. The voice. That low, clear voice from behind. "Officer, is there a reason my son has a gun in his face?" She turned. Saw the man. Tall. Calm. Dressed sharp, like money and history combined. And she watched something change in the officer's posture. Not regret. Fear. The guns went down fast. The mouth started moving faster. "Sir, we had a report." He matched the description. It was all protocol. But she didn't hear the words. She heard what didn't make sense. And she felt it. If that man hadn't shown up, that boy wouldn't be going home. Denise went back inside. Didn't speak about it that day. She didn't know who the boy was. Didn't know his name. But she saw enough. 3 days later, a customer came in, wearing chrome hearts. A white teen. Same hoodie. Same Rolex. Denise froze for a second, then asked gently, "Nice watch. Where'd you get it?" He smiled. "My dad gave it to me. Said I should dress like I matter." She nodded. "You ever had a cop pull a gun on you for it?" His face changed. "What? Never mind." She rang him up, but the silence lingered. That night, Denise couldn't sleep. Not because she felt guilty, because she felt complicit. Not in the action, but in the not acting. She told her sister, her pastor, even wrote a note to the local paper, and signed. But the moment kept playing, over and over. The boy's face, the officer's gun, that voice. So she made a decision. Not big, not loud, but hers. She printed a flyer, posted it on the salon's bulletin board. "If you're a teen of color and ever feel unsafe, come inside. Sit. No questions. No charge. We'll call who needs to be called." It didn't go viral. But 5 days later, a young boy walked in, 12 maybe, breathing fast. Didn't say a word. She handed him a water. Let him sit. Called his mom. Said nothing about why. And when they left, the boy looked back and said, "Thanks for not asking if I did something wrong." She started noticing things after that. Which kids were followed at the gas station. Which ones the security guard watched extra close. Which names got whispered at the corner store with suspicion, even when nothing happened. She didn't try to be a hero. Just started standing still more. Watching longer. A month later, she saw him again. The boy. Ellison. He was walking past the salon. Same bag. Different hoodie. He looked up. Met her eyes. And something passed between them. No smile. No wave. Just recognition. She stepped outside. "You all right?" He nodded. "You remember me?" "Yeah. I saw you." "I know." She paused. "I'm sorry I didn't speak." He shrugged. "You saw. That's more than most." Then walked on. And she watched him go, not like a threat, like a reminder. Later that week, a coworker asked about the flyer. "Aren't you worried it's political?" Denise just shook her head. "It's not politics. It's presence." She never met his father. Never knew their names until someone showed her an article months later. Local CEO's son mistaken for robbery suspect. But to her, he was never a suspect. He was just a boy who didn't flinch. And she's still flinching for him. 1 week after the incident, a video surfaces. It's grainy. Shaky. Captured through a parked car's dash cam across the street. No sound. Just images. 2 cops. 1 boy. 2 guns. Stillness. Then a man steps into frame. Tall. Calm. Steps like he owns the ground under their feet. The moment he appears, both officers lower their weapons. One takes a step back. The other looks down. The boy never moves. It doesn't go viral. Not in the way things usually do. No shouting. No blood. No hashtags. Just undeniable tension. Raw. Visible. Unmistakable. It lands on local Twitter first. Then Facebook groups. Then someone drops a comment. "That kid is Ellison Ward. Rashad Ward's son." A pause. Then it spreads. Suddenly people care. Not because he's a boy. Because he's someone's boy. Someone with power. With name. With reach. 2 days later, the mayor calls Rashad. Leaves a voicemail. "We'd like to invite you and your son to speak at the Youth Police Roundtable this fall. We're listening." Rashad deletes the message. Doesn't even mention it to Ellison. Because if they weren't listening before, then they weren't listening. At the department, there's tension. No suspensions. No press release. Just whispers. Training memos get quietly updated. Someone orders a community engagement lunch and learn. A diversity consultant is brought in. But none of it is for Ellison. It's for image. Officer Green. The younger one. The one who shouted the most. He watches the video 10 times on his phone. No sound. Just silence. He sees how still the kid is. How wrong it looks. How fast he moved his finger toward the trigger. And for the first time in years, he doesn't sleep through the night. He doesn't quit. Doesn't post an apology. But when he pulls someone over 2 weeks later, a black teen driving a leased BMW. He pauses. Steps slower. Speaks softer. Hands don't go near his holster. He doesn't know if it makes up for anything, but he knows he can't pretend anymore, because he saw what fear really looks like. And it wasn't in the boy's eyes. It was in his own hands. Ellison doesn't go back to the mall. Not for weeks. But one afternoon, his mom suggests a walk. No destination. Just the two of them. They park near Hermann Park, where the fountains glitter and joggers pass like clockwork. He wears a plain tee. No brands. Just soft blue cotton. But the Rolex stays on. Because now, he refuses to shrink to fit their comfort. As they walk, a woman with a stroller recognizes him. She slows. Smiles. Nods. You're that boy, aren't you? Ellison blinks. His mom places a hand gently on his back. He's my son. No, I mean from the video. That was you, right? Ellison doesn't reply. Just nods. I'm so sorry that happened to you. Truly. He looks at her. Kind face. Nervous energy. Real discomfort. But in her eyes, he can see it. She never thought it could happen to that kind of boy. The rich one. The well-spoken one. The one with parents who could sue, call, demand. And now, she can't unsee it. At school, a counselor calls him in. Offers support. Says the right words. You've shown resilience. If you need time off, that's okay. We're proud of how you handled it. Ellison sits still. Waits. Until finally, do you think you'd say the same if I didn't have a famous last name? The counselor freezes. Smiles, but smaller. Of course. Ellison just nods. But inside, he knows the answer. And it doesn't feel like a maybe. Even Caleb feels it. Since the argument, he's texted twice. No response. Then one day, he leaves a note in Ellison's locker. No excuses. Just ink on lined paper. I said the wrong thing. I didn't understand. I still might not. But I'm sorry I didn't try harder. Ellison reads it. Then crumples it gently. Not in anger. In acknowledgement. Because sometimes sorry isn't a fix. It's just late. One night, at dinner, Rashad speaks up. The city council wants me to host a conversation. Public. Nadine looks up. And I said no. Because my son already did. They all go quiet. Even the ceiling fan seems to hum lower. Afterward, Ellison goes to his room. Looks in the mirror. Sees the same face. But something's different now. He walks over to his closet. Takes out the hoodie. Chrome hearts. Still soft. Still clean. Puts it on. Looks himself in the eye. And says, you weren't the threat. Not to them. Not to himself. Not anymore. It starts with a hoodie. Again. Not the chrome hearts one. Just black. Plain. Soft. Ellison puts it on one Monday morning. Zips it halfway. Slings his tail far across his chest. He knows what he's doing. And he's done hiding from it. At school, the hallway feels tighter. Or maybe he's just more present now. He doesn't walk faster. Doesn't duck his head. He walks like someone who's decided not to shrink anymore. Not because the danger's gone, but because he's tired of dressing to make other people comfortable. In English, Miss Carlston passes back essays. His is marked A+. At the bottom, she's written, your voice is clear. I hope the world learns to listen. He rereads the line. Then, in a move he never made before, he walks to her desk after class. Thanks. She looks up. You earned it. He nods. Then adds, that day, with the cops, I wasn't scared because of the guns. I was scared they wouldn't stop even if I did everything right. She blinks. Didn't expect that. Ellison, I'm not telling you to fix anything. Just don't assume silence means we're okay. Then he turns and leaves. No drama. Just clarity. At lunch, he doesn't sit with his usual table. He walks outside. Finds a bench. Takes out his journal. A girl from 2 grades up, Kendra, sees him. Walks over. Mind if I sit? He nods. She doesn't talk much. Just opens her book. But before she leaves, she says, I saw you. That day. From my aunt's salon. He looks up. I didn't know. You look like my cousin. Not scared. Just waiting to be misread. Ellison doesn't reply. She walks away, and that, somehow, feels heavier than any apology. That evening, he does something else new. He emails the principal. Short message. Hi. Would you consider a student-led session about how we experience authority in and out of school? I can help organize. I think some of us have things to say, even if we don't say them loud. He hits send before he can doubt it. Next day, she replies. Ellison. Yes. Let's meet this week. No questions. No redirect to a club or staff member. Just yes. And for the first time in weeks, he exhales without feeling like it's borrowed air. At home, he tells his dad. Rashad looks at him for a long moment, then says, I wish I had your stillness when I was your age, but I'm glad you're using it louder than I did. That weekend, Ellison visits his grandma again. Miss Odell. She's on the porch, peeling apples like she's composing jazz. You walking different. How so? Like you ain't hiding. Like you finally got tired of wearing their comfort over your own truth. He laughs. That obvious. Only to people who've been bent and didn't break. She hands him an apple slice. Proud of you, baby. For what? For standing up without making noise. That's an art. Monday. School again. In second period, he notices something. A kid named Ramon, usually silent, wearing a hoodie that says, Don't mistake my quiet for approval. Ellison nods at him across the room. Ramon nods back. Nothing said, but something passed. That afternoon, as Ellison waits for pickup, a teacher walks by. The one who said nothing after the incident. She slows, then stops. Ellison. Yes, ma'am. That essay you wrote. It stayed with me. He nods once. She adds, if you ever want to share it. With the faculty. He doesn't commit, but he doesn't dismiss it either. Because maybe the story's changing, one room at a time. Later that week, he meets with the principal. Small office. Framed quotes on the wall. A bowl of mints no one eats. She listens. Really listens. No interruptions. No time checks. He shares ideas. She asks questions. They settle on a name. Unheard, stories in uniform. A student-led space. Open mic. Anonymous option. No staff commentary. Just stories. Just truth. The flyer goes out quietly. No push. No campaign. But by the second day, they've filled half the list. Ellison doesn't plan to speak at the event. He wants others to have the mic. But when the day comes, and no one steps up at first, he walks to the front, holds the mic, breathes, then says, A gun in your face teaches you two things. 1. How quiet fear can be. 2. How fast a room pretends it didn't see. He pauses. I'm not here to be strong. I'm here because I'm still angry. Still confused. Still here. Another pause. That's all. He walks off. No applause. Just stillness. Afterward, a freshman girl slips a note in his hand. I've been followed in every store since I was 11. You made me feel less invisible. He folds it, puts it in his pocket, and doesn't speak for the rest of the day. Because that one sentence, louder than anything he said at the mic. The school doesn't change overnight. The lockers still slam too loud. The hall monitors still stare too long. The posters on the wall still talk about kindness in Comic Sans. But people move different now. Not everyone, but enough. It starts with lunch. Ramon sits across from Ellison. They don't talk about anything deep. Just sneakers, music, who's ghosting who. But halfway through the conversation, Ramon says, I told my mom what happened to you. Ellison pauses. Yeah, she cried. Said it reminded her of my uncle. Said I should wear my ID on the outside of my hoodie now, just in case. Ellison doesn't respond right away. Then, I get it, but I'm not adjusting myself to fit their suspicion anymore. Ramon nods, then unzips his hoodie a little, just enough to hide the ID again. Quiet solidarity. In class, Miss Carlston changes something too. Her next writing prompt. Right about the moment you realize the world saw you differently. She doesn't say if. She says when. It matters. The essays come in heavy. Stories about store security. About being asked, where are you really from? About gym teachers who joke too hard. about one girl's brother, who was suspended for tone in an email. Ellison reads every one. He stays after school to help organize them for the showcase. For once, his name isn't on the flyer. He likes it that way. One afternoon, in the parking lot, Coach Taylor, who never said a word about what happened, stops him. "You know, when I was 16, they pulled me over in a car my brother bought for me." Ellison looks at him. "Did they apologize?" "Nah, but they let me go when I said he worked for the mayor." A beat. Then, "I never told anyone. Didn't think it mattered." Ellison shrugs. "It still does." Coach nods. "You're right." He doesn't say more. Doesn't need to. Even in the neighborhood, people shift. The white neighbor 2 doors down, Mr. Borden, starts waving again. But this time it's slower. More honest. One afternoon, he brings over a package that was misdelivered. Hands it to Rashad. Then hesitates. "You know, I never said anything about what happened. Didn't know what to say." Rashad doesn't invite him in. But he doesn't close the door either. Listening is a good place to start. At the barbershop, someone brings up Ellison. That word kid. Handled it better than most grown folks would have. A man in the corner, older, cane leaning against his leg, speaks up. That boy didn't handle it. He endured it. Stop mistaking silence for ease. The room goes quiet. Then someone nods. And it changes the tone of the whole afternoon. Back at school, Kendra, the girl who saw him from a salon, leaves a small note on Ellison's locker. "If they ever ask you to speak at an assembly again, tell them you already did. Every day since." He smiles when he sees it, keeps it in his notebook. No hashtags, no reposts, just truth. In the next faculty meeting, a teacher suggests changing the school's curriculum to include more local history. Not civil rights as theory, but stories like Ellison's, Ramon's, Coach Taylor's. The room doesn't push back. For once, they just listen. A month after the hoodie incident, something strange happens. A freshman kid gets stopped by a cop outside 7-Eleven. Black, tall, wearing a bright red hoodie. But the store clerk steps outside before anything escalates. He's here every day. Buys the same bag of chips. Let the kid be. The cop backs off. The kid doesn't even know who helped him. But Ellison hears about it the next day. Ramon tells him, "I think people are watching now. Not just watching us. Watching how we're watched." At dinner, Ellison tells his parents. His mother smiles. One shift. One spark. That's how it starts. His dad sips his drink. They still carry the matches. But now they're checking where they dropped them. Even the officer, Green, makes a change. At his next community patrol assignment, he requests to visit the local youth center. No PR. No cameras. Just shows up. Listens to the kids talk. One asks, "You ever pulled on someone for no reason?" He doesn't lie. "Yes. And it changed how I move now." They don't thank him. But they don't laugh either. It's a beginning. Ellison doesn't try to lead anything. But people follow anyway. He wears what he wants. Speaks when he wants. One day, he even laughs louder than he ever has in the hallway. And no one flinches. That might be the most radical shift yet. It's the silence that lingers. Not the sirens. Not the raised voices. Just the silence. The kind that comes when you've seen something you can't unsee. And now the ripple begins. At a tech startup downtown, Nadine, Ellison's mom, is in a leadership meeting. Someone mentions building equity into the culture. The room nods. Buzzwords fly. Then Nadine interrupts. "When my son had a gun pointed at him for wearing what he owns, I didn't need a culture deck. I needed someone to say, 'We're responsible too.'" The room falls still. She doesn't raise her voice. Doesn't give a TED talk. Just a pause. And afterward, the youngest staffer in the room emails her. "Thank you for saying what I've never heard in a room like that." The ripple has reached downtown. Meanwhile, in a barbershop across town, a man retells the story. Not for drama. Just to remind people. He didn't yell. Didn't run. Just froze. And even that made them draw. Someone else nods. Ain't about behavior. It's about assumption. From the corner, a teenager who hasn't spoken all day says, We should teach kids how to record, not just comply. A barber writes it on the whiteboard near the register. Teach to record, not just survive. The ripple has reached the corners. At the youth center, Ramon brings in flyers. A new project. Open mic night. Topic: When the world mistook me. It fills up in 2 days. No adults speak. Just kids. One reads a letter to a security guard who followed him every day in 6th grade. Another reads a list. Times I was told my tone was too much, when I hadn't said a word. At the end they clap, not loud but long. Because they're not celebrating. They're recognizing. The ripple has reached the next voices. Even in the precinct, there's motion. A younger officer, just out of academy, reads the internal report from the incident. He sees the footage, reads the transcript, feels something twist in his gut. Later, he pulls his mentor aside. How do we learn not to do that? The older man shrugs. They'll teach you de-escalation. That's not what I meant. A pause. Then watch who you become afraid of. The ripple has reached the uniform. At school, Miss Carlston builds a new elective. Language and power. Half literature, half lived experience. Ellison doesn't enroll, but she dedicates the first unit to unspoken narratives. The syllabus starts with Baldwin, ends with local student essays. She adds a line to the board. If silence shaped you, it has something to say. The ripple is in the curriculum. Ellison, meanwhile, doesn't try to lead anything. He's tired. He just wants to live. But living, openly, steadily, without apology, becomes the most powerful thing he does. At the grocery store, a woman stops Nadine. You don't know me, but I was there that day. Across the street. She hesitates. I didn't say anything. I just watched. Nadine meets her eyes. The woman continues. But I told my son about it. And now when we go shopping, he holds his head different. Not down. Not scared. Just full. Nadine doesn't cry. But something loosens in her throat. The ripple has reached someone else's kitchen table. The most unexpected shift comes weeks later. The same cop car. Same route. Different day. A black boy, not Ellison, is walking home. Same posture. Same hoodie. But this time, the patrol car slows. Then passes. No shouts. No hands on holsters. Just passes. The boy looks confused. Keeps walking. He'll never know why that moment felt different. But Officer Green, in the passenger seat, grips the door handle a little looser. Because he still remembers the look in Ellison's eyes. Not fear. Recognition. And that's what stays with them. The look that says, you've already decided what I am. So I'll show you what I refuse to be. That look echoes. Through streets. Through schools. Through conversations behind closed doors. Even Denise, at the salon, still has the flyer posted. One day a teenager walks in. Shaky. No words. She hands him a bottle of water. Lets him sit. 10 minutes later, his aunt arrives. No drama. Just relief. And as they leave, the aunt whispers. He saw something in the news. Thought he could come here. Said you were safe. The ripple has reached trust. At night, Ellison writes. Not for school. Just for himself. He writes one sentence on a blank page. I wasn't the one shaking. They were. Then closes the notebook. And sleeps easy. Not because the world changed. But because it started listening. The morning is quiet. Not the fragile quiet of before. The kind you walk through like eggshells. This one is different. It feels lived in. Like silence that's been cleaned, dusted, and claimed. Ellison wakes up at 6:25 a.m. Still no alarm. He stretches. Listens. His mom's jazz isn't playing today. But the scent of coffee still creeps under the door. He opens his eyes. And for the first time in a long time, there's no tension in his jaw. He moves slow. Not tired. Just grounded. Like the day doesn't owe him anything. But it won't steal from him either. He pulls on jeans. A black hoodie. No logo. Then he stops. Walks to his shelf. Reaches for the Rolex. Pauses. Then straps it on. Not for defiance. Just because it's his. Downstairs, his father is in the kitchen. Reading. Phone face down. He looks up when Ellison enters. Smiles. No words exchanged. No need. His mom hands him a thermos. You'll miss first bell. It's okay. You walking? Yeah. Another pause. Then, be safe. I am. And this time, he believes it. He steps outside. The air is cooler than usual. Not sharp. Not harsh. Just honest. Like it's done pretending. As he walks, he sees things he's passed 100 times. But now they feel more visible. The mailboxes with peeling paint. The chalk drawing still half faded on the sidewalk. The old woman on her porch who always watches, but never waves. Today, she nods. Ellison nods back. And for the first time, it doesn't feel like performance. It feels like place. At the corner, a police cruiser passes. Slows just slightly. Ellison doesn't flinch. Doesn't reach for his phone. Doesn't change posture. Just keeps walking. And the car keeps moving. Not fast. Not slow. Just through. He gets to school 5 minutes before the bell. Walks into the building. The security guard, the one who used to check his bag every week, lifts a hand in greeting. Morning, Ellison. Morning. Nothing more. But something less, too. No stare. No scan. Just acknowledgement. First period. He sits near the window. Watches the light creep down the side of the lockers. Ms. Carlston walks in. She doesn't make eye contact. But she places a new quote on the board. There's no power in being perfect. There's power in being unshaken. Ellison smiles. Just a little. At lunch, Ramon joins him. No questions today. Just chips. Jokes. Homework complaints. Then, you ever gonna wear that hoodie again? Which one? You know. The one from that day. Ellison chews for a second. I might. Ramon nods. You should. On the way home, he stops by the park. Sits on the bench near the fountain. Same place he used to avoid after dark. Now he stays. Lets the breeze pass. 2 little kids chase each other nearby. A woman calls after them. They don't listen. He laughs quietly. And when a jogger passes, glances at his watch. Ellison doesn't look away. He looks back. At home, the mail's already been brought in. A small package on the table. No label. Inside a note. Handwritten. For the boy who stood still. So the rest of us couldn't. And underneath? A blank notebook. Heavy cover. Soft spine. First page lined but empty. He sets it down next to his old journal. And doesn't write in it. Not yet. Because this time, he wants to live before he explains. That evening, at dinner, they eat quietly. Nothing big. Rice. Grilled fish. A simple salad. But when his dad gets up to refill his glass, he places a hand on Ellison's shoulder. Just for a second. No words. And Ellison feels it. Not relief. Not gratitude. Just respect. Earned. Shared. Still growing. That night, he lies in bed. Same room. Same shelves. But something has shifted. The silence isn't weight now. It's space. Space to breathe. To move. To become. He turns off the lamp. But before he sleeps, he whispers. Still here. And this time, it's not survival. It's arrival. Final image. The next morning, Ellison steps out of his house. Same hoodie. Same walk. Same watch. But now, when the world looks at him, it doesn't get the final word. Because he's written something they can't erase.